Yeah, because the other people end up being unindicted co-conspirators where they may have not known that they were just working for him. They didn't know that would get purchase orders and order things that Diddy likes the house to be stocked with. So them ordering 1,000 bottles of baby oil is not because they wanted Diddy to go fuck 1,000 chicks in free coughs. They are just stocking the house.
Global icon acceptance.
I ain't gonna lie, it was amazing. I've been watching my pop since I was a kid, and like you said, I always was like fiending to get on the stage.
Christian King Combs, the 26-year-old son of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, is currently facing serious legal allegations stemming from an incident aboard a yacht in December 2022. The lawsuit, filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court by Grace O'Marquet, accuses Christian of sexual assault, battery, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. But more shocking than Christian's tea spilling is what his father, Sean Diddy Combs, did in the wake of Grace's alarming revelation, and how his eldest son, Justin Combs, is all connected to this. Isn't this revealing a pattern all too familiar, that the son's apple doesn't fall far from the father's scandal? And more importantly, how do you hide from your past when your own child is the one dragging it into the light?
Diddy's family is by his side as he appears in court, as the music mogul faces charges of racketeering, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution, all of which he has pleaded not guilty to. Diddy's mom, Janice Combs, sons Quincy, Justin, and Christian, as well as 18-year-old daughter Chance and 17-year-old twins Delilah and Jesse, have all been in the courtroom. The first days of Diddy's trial have included testimony from ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, as well as from male escort Daniel Phillip, who each graphically recounted sexual encounters between them and Diddy. Twice during Phillip's testimony per People magazine.
In a jaw-dropping unraveling, Grace O'Marquet was employed as a steward on a yacht chartered by Sean Combs for a family trip to St. Martin. On the said date, December 2022, the environment on the yacht was far from wholesome, describing it as a hedonistic environment filled with intoxicated individuals, suspected sex workers, celebrities, and drugs. Upon boarding the yacht, Christian Combs was heavily intoxicated and paid particular attention to her. It was discovered that he insisted Grace drink tequila with him, and when she tried to leave, he became violent, grabbing her arm, groping her, and proceeding to kiss her neck, face, and hands.
Combs had actually been denied bail in total. Now, going back to this legal paperwork that Christian Combs was served, according to In Touch, this came from Grace O'Marquet. This is somebody we've spoken about before here on Sidebar. She was the one who filed a lawsuit against Christian earlier this year. And we remember that O'Marquet's civil lawsuit accuses Christian of assault, battery, sexual assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress for an alleged incident that happened on Sean Combs' yacht back in 2022. And I'm going to talk about the timing of the service of these papers in a second, but first I want to recap this lawsuit for you. So according to the civil complaint, O'Marquet, 25 years old at the time this happened, allegedly happened, says that she was working as a steward on the yacht that Sean Combs had rented or chartered.
Now, as unsettling as that was, it's just the beginning of a long line of immoral behavior by the Combs boys. In a separate incident, Grace alleges that Christian attempted to force her to perform oral sex on him in the yacht's cinema. She reported the incident to the ship's captain, but her complaint was not taken seriously. Furthermore, she alleges that Sean Combs paid a substantial tip to the ship's crew to keep her complaint quiet.
Rocking with him is so surreal. And my daughters tonight was just so surreal.
And they were keeping their lips tight about that. Because
Yeah.
I asked him on the carpet,
Yeah.
I said, what's your dad got up his sleeve? Because he told me it was going to be great. He's been working on this show. Everyone backstage has said, you have been the consummate professional. You have been time. You have been working your tail off.
Yes.
And you told me, you said, no fashion week for me.
No.
I've got to be in the zone
Yeah.
working on my global icon set.
Yeah.
How important and how special was this moment to have
got
your
towel.
family?
No, you keep talking.
That's okay. I get you. I fan you out, Diddy.
Thank you. Hold
I
on.
got
Let
it.
me get these. I'm a fan of both. Talk
Okay.
to me. Christian, you get in there. Yeah.
Well, how special was it to have your dad invite?
Notice the pattern here, using power and money to silence the voice of reason. And this is the same pattern Diddy's been using for years to keep people like Cassie Ventura strapped to his apron strings for years, and now his sons are towing the same path. And Christian is only just scratching the surface, because what the eldest son did is the stuff of legends. Trust me.
Diddy's family is by his side as he appears in court, as the music mogul faces charges of racketeering, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution, all of which he has pleaded not guilty to. Diddy's mom, Janice Combs, sons Quincy, Justin, and Christian, as well as 18-year-old daughter Chance and 17-year-old twins Delilah and Jesse, have all been in the courtroom. The first days of Diddy's trial have included testimony from ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, as well as from male escort Daniel Phillip, who each graphically recounted sexual encounters between them and Diddy. Twice during Phillip's testimony per People magazine, Diddy's 3 daughters, Chance, Delilah, and Jesse, left the courtroom.
As a result of the alleged assault by Christian Combs, Grace O'Marquet's long-term romantic relationship ended, and she has since developed an eating disorder and suffers from epileptic seizures.
Since he was 4 years old, he would yell and scream to come on stage with me. If I didn't, like when I was doing my encores, he would yell and scream to come on stage, like really cause a fit. And so as the years went on, went in the pursuit of his rap career, his last single was a #1 record. And this is like our 3rd time performing, but like our biggest time where he really held it down, and I'm proud of him. And but it started when he was 4 years old, so to be up there rocking with him is so surreal. And my daughters tonight was just so surreal.
And to show a pattern of generational manipulation and control, both Christian and Sean Combs have denied the allegations. Their lawyer described the claims as lewd and meritless, asserting that they are composed of manufactured lies and irrelevant facts.
Money from May 12th, where Phillip alleged around 2012 or 2013 he had been given, quote, a few $1,000s to have sex with Cassie while Combs watched. Per NBC News, he told jurors, quote, we ended up having sex, rubbed baby oil on each other for a couple of minutes, while describing Diddy touching himself while watching them. Prosecutors also played in court the hotel security footage from 2016 obtained by CNN, where Diddy is seen assaulting Cassie. While the video was played, according to People, Diddy's daughters and mother remained in the courtroom but did not look at the video, looking straight ahead, while Diddy's sons watched.
This lawsuit adds to the growing list of legal challenges facing the Combs family, as Sean Combs himself is currently embroiled in multiple lawsuits of sexual misconduct and is under an intense trial. But before the courtroom revelations and public outcry, DJ academics had already voiced concerns about Diddy's sons, particularly Christian King Combs. In a passionate live stream, academics criticized their seemingly carefree lifestyle amidst their father's growing legal troubles. "I've been around these industry parties," he said, "and the way them boys moved, that ain't normal."
Do you think it's going to be the case?
So beating the case is not guilty on all counts.
Right.
Absolutely not. I think he's gonna get a guilty verdict somewhere, but I don't think the top counts are gonna count, or are gonna matter. Right now, it's no way. So the RICO would be the top count.
Yeah, and one-man RICOs are actually a thing. Me and Drew Filling were talking about that. He actually represented people who had one-man RICOs.
Yeah, because the other people end up being unindicted co-conspirators, where they may have not known that they were doing. They were just working for him. They didn't know that what they're doing this crime, right? So it's like, hey, if I tell you go get the rope.
He accused them of being ensnared in a carefully crafted PR machinery, more focused on maintaining a glamorous image than acknowledging the gravity of their father's situation. Academics expressed frustration over their continued partying and public appearances, suggesting a disconnect from reality.
If I tell you go get the rope, because I'm about to go tie somebody up for the kidnapping, but you're my assistant and you don't know that I'm finna go do that. You just think you're doing the job. Hey, I help act out. You get the rope. If now this becomes the criminal organization, could you be charged with me? I mean, I guess you could be, but the government is gonna realize they're gonna look stupid if you put somebody on the stand who their job was to get purchase orders and order things that Diddy likes the house to be stocked with. So them ordering 1,000 bottles of baby oil is not because they wanted Diddy to go fuck 1,000 chicks in free coughs. They are just stocking the house.
At the time, many dismissed his comments as mere sensationalism. However, as Christian's testimony emerged, detailing unsettling experiences and the presence of NDAs from a young age, academics' warnings took on a prophetic tone. The lavish lifestyle once admired now appeared as a gilded cage, masking deeper issues.
During her May 13th testimony, Cassie alleged the assault occurred after she tried to leave a freak-off, which she described were sexual encounters orchestrated by Diddy, often involving Cassie and a male sex worker. She tells the court, per NBC News, quote, "I chose to leave. I got out and Sean followed me into the hallway and grabbed me, shoved me to the ground, kicked me, and dragged me back to the room and took my stuff." Stay with E! Online for the latest updates in the Sean Diddy Combs trial.
In retrospect, academics' scathing remark wasn't just a rant. It was a telling observation of a family grappling with the shadows cast by fame and secrecy. His words now resonate as a stark reminder of the complexities hidden behind the curtain of celebrity.
Stock in the house. So you know what the government will do? They'll go to that person and say, hey, you got to come talk to us and give us that context of that. And those people are going to end up testifying. They're going to get these proffer deals that's going to, give them some immunity and they're not going to get charged. So Diddy's but it doesn't look good for the government, right? You're claiming that this guy was doing all these things. In all these allegations, we're hearing about other people, especially in the new civil allegations, right? You're hearing other people were involved in these sexual assaults. Where are their charges? If you're only one guy, this don't look too good, right? But I do think he's gonna catch, even if it's like the prostitution charge,
Now, in the hushed atmosphere of the courtroom, Christian Combs recounted memories that had long haunted him. He spoke of a dark room, a term that seemed to encapsulate more than just a physical space. Without prompting, he described an incident from his teenage years, entering that room and witnessing a scene so disturbing it left him physically ill. He didn't ask questions, he was simply told to go to bed.
Something like the global icon acceptance set.
I ain't gonna lie, it was amazing. I've been watching my Pop since I was a kid, and like you said, I always was like fiending to get on the stage.
Yeah.
And I always just felt so crazy if I didn't get to touch it. Like I was sad. So to bring me out on the biggest stage of music is crazy. Yeah.
Now tell me this, why do you think? Why do you think your Pops is a global icon?
Because he's the best to ever do it. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Diddy, you over there with my ET cards looking like you about to take my job.
No. They ain't on your cards. But tonight was special because backstage we was like, we're going to do this one for his mother. This is the first one we did for his mom. We was thinking about her.
Christian detailed overhearing conversations filled with terms and implications he couldn't understand at the time. Mentions of payments, agreements, and silences, bought and sold. He recalled the prevalence of NDAs, contracts he encountered before he even understood their purpose. His testimony painted a portrait of a household where influence masked oppression, where the lines between protection and possession blurred. Each word he uttered peeled back layers of a carefully curated image, revealing the unsettling truths lurking beneath. As he continued, the courtroom remained silent, the weight of his revelations settling over everyone present. In that moment, Christian wasn't just a witness, he was a mirror reflecting the hidden realities of a world few dared to acknowledge. But more concerning than Christian's revelations is the gory details that come to light as we peel back the layers of the involvement of his elder brother.
Lila and Jesse left the courtroom. One of the occasions was during his testimony from May 12th, where Philip alleged around 2012 or 2013 he had been given, quote, a few $1,000s to have sex with Cassie while Combs watched. Per NBC News, he told jurors, quote, we ended up having sex, rubbed baby oil on each other for a couple of minutes, while describing Diddy touching himself while watching them.
The courtroom felt colder when Justin Combs' name came up. He sat at the back, silent, no words, no defense. The older brother, once the closest to Christian, is now a shadow, distant and quiet. He was recently sued for sexual assault. Justin's silence was deafening. Christian didn't need to say much. His eyes flicked briefly toward his brother, a glance loaded with meaning. We all knew how the game was played, he whispered under his breath, barely loud enough for the court to catch. It wasn't just about family. It was about secrets, survival, and a legacy soaked in silence.
Right, he was flying them in. I'm pretty sure one of those things will get him jammed up. And I think the conversation Diddy and his lawyers are saying, hey, listen, let's say your 5-year plea deal thing was a thing. I think Diddy's looking at like, yo, we think that top charge that's gonna bring at least 20, which is the RICO, we think we can beat that. That's bullshit.
Well, yeah, because the prostitution charge, the transportation to engage in prostitution, has a maximum penalty of 10 years, but no minimum. So it could turn into a year or two.
There you go.
Because it's really not that serious.
There you go.
You're flying in a prostitute. She wants to get paid.
There
She
you
does
go.
something she's cool with doing. You fly her back, the end.
They're setting it up already like that.
Yeah.
Yo, we're swingers. At times we were out of town. We didn't meet other couples. We was just flying some prostitutes.
The brothers, once tight-knit, seemed like strangers now, carrying different burdens. The weight of their father's name pressed down on them all. How much pain can a son hold before it breaks him? How many sins pass down like a twisted inheritance? These are questions with no easy answer. But one thing is clear, Justin's silence wasn't peace, it was fear. Tangled deep inside a family fighting to keep its fractures hidden from the world.
One thing that's been interesting during jury selection, Combs, like all criminal defendants, is required to be in the courtroom. And while he is known with this image of being a hip hop mogul, kind of this icon who threw those elaborate star-studded white parties, his attire in court is very different. He looks almost like a college professor. His hair has turned gray. He's been in custody at the federal jail in Brooklyn, and he is not wearing clothes that you would expect a recording artist to wear. He's wearing gray pants, a navy blue crew neck sweater with a white collar popping out of the top of it, reflecting the seriousness of these charges that he's facing.
Midway through the day, the air in the courtroom shifted. Diddy's face, usually calm and controlled, suddenly drained of color. His hands gripped the edges of the table, trembling as sweat beaded down his forehead. The flashing lights of the cameras caught every flicker of panic. His breaths grew shallow and quick. Then he doubled over slightly, pale and shaking. An EMT pushed through the rows, rushing forward. The judge's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and firm. The room held its breath. Reporters whispered, jurors stared wide-eyed. Some called it stress, others read guilt into the moment, but Christian, he didn't blink. He just watched, quiet, steady, as the man who raised him crumbled under the weight of what was finally coming to light. Diddy's empire, his power, his control. It was cracking, and no amount of money or fame could stop the collapse. Cassie was the first crack in the glass, but now Christian was the hammer driving it deeper. Before long, old posts got dug up. Fan pages that once worshipped Diddy started going dark. Social media accounts, once full of praise, fell silent. People whispered in the corners of the web, wondering what else Christian might say next. Brands and collaborators are losing grounds with the family. No company wants to be identified with a family with a cancerous reputation. Even some of Diddy's closest friends began to pull away, their follows disappearing one by one, as if distancing themselves from a sinking ship. Christian's words weren't just a statement, they were a breaking point, raw and real. Exposing a family torn between love and pain, loyalty and truth. The empire's polished image cracked. The shiny veneer peeled back to reveal the mess underneath, and nobody could look away. Diddy built his life, his empire around one thing, his name. It was everything. Power, respect, a legacy passed down like gold. But now that name feels different. The empire that was once untouchable now stands on fragile ground. The man who once seemed invincible was being undone by the very blood he raised. And Christian? He isn't just walking away from a name, he is stepping into his own life, one freed from the weight of the past. It isn't the fans cheering him on. It isn't the haters tearing him down. It isn't even the lawsuits piling up. It is his own blood, his own family that's brought the empire to its knees. Sometimes, truth doesn't sneak out quietly. Sometimes, it walks right in. Wearing your last name, why do you think happens to the future of Diddy's other kids, now that more than one member of the family is robbing shame all over them?